This film tells stories of us older citizens in the York area. Its theme is celebrating and connecting. Let's connect with some of these vibrant, busy elders. Let's celebrate their energy and creativity and contributions to society. Let's find out how we, view our past. And as we watch this troubled world, what are our hopes for the future? What are our dreams for ourselves, our children or grandchildren, for future generations, for peace, for the world? What have older people ever done for us? For most of my life, I've been involved in York in a variety of ways. As a volunteer, I've been a school governor, a trades unionist. I was the first chair of York Racial Equality Network, a charity which has lasted for over 30 years. And later, when my father was diagnosed with dementia, I helped at the Alzheimer's Society. I started off in teaching, had a family, then set up my own training and consultancy business in equality. Eventually, that led to work at the University of York in their first Equal Opportunities Office, as it was called then. Now it's the Equality and Diversity Office. Now I'm enjoying writing about it all in stories, poems and memoir, and I'm involved with arts events in my local community. How have some of us helped to make York the place it is? In 2024, some eminent elders in our city were interviewed about their lives.
I had a political moment when I became a councillor when York became a unitary authority, and they put me in charge of creating an education department in the city of York. York hadn't had one for years. We'd been under North Yorkshire County Council, and I had to appoint everybody from scratch and then pull them together to set up my vision of education in York. I was very proud of what we achieved.
From the beginning of my training, I realized, I was really horrified the way that older people were treated really, and set out to do something about it within the context of the NHS and make some difference. And I am very pleased to see that by the end of the time when I retired, the attitude and the way that people were treating the older people had quite improved a lot.
So we came up with the idea of a once-a-week club, which was held in one of the church halls in Acomb, called Acomb Wednesday Afternoon Club, because Wednesday afternoon was when the shops were closed and there was nothing to do and they could come. And it was for lonely and elderly people, and it became a thriving community resource for about 15 years, and I chaired the steering committee and got funding for it. Oldies, boomers, and the youth of today. How do differing generations get on in York? Aren't there too many differences for our elders and our youth to appreciate each other? Shouldn't we just accept that older people don't like teenagers or students, and that teenagers or students don't like older people, or baby boomers, as our post-war generation are often labelled? Listen to these citizens, filmed in York in 2023.
I used to have students. I used to put students up for ages, and I loved them. When I first lost Ted, I took students in, yes, it was nice. And young ones are full of life, aren't they?
But the thing is, we're all young. Once I joined the army, I was 19 before I got married, and they were the same. Did the same as students, 4 men in the room and all that. And we go out drinking, we were usually a crowd of us.
I just feel they're so full of life. The younger generation are quite vibrant. And yeah, I just love them. I get a lot out of being with younger people. They're ready to accept change, and they're a way ahead of us as far as that's concerned, because you just accepted a lot years and years ago.
Yes, I think the younger generation are a lot more welcoming to people from different backgrounds and different races and all kinds of things. They've moved around more than we did when we were young. And so they're used to it, and they're used to mixing with people from other parts of the world and other backgrounds.
I always say the best thing for any place is people. And the people in York has changed, I have to admit. And people might not like that, but York was a lot whiter than it is now. And that's not a bad thing about York, but we did have a lot of racism here. And by the change of people, that has changed. We have quite a lot of blessings for people of all colors, but the change of attitude, change of perceptions. And so I think the best change in the city is its people.
For many of us, it's a joy to have little ones around.
One of the great things we've done this year is to work with the Little Acorns, which is the nursery school, which is based here at Hartig Oak. So we're very fortunate to have this contact between the older people and the very young, which I think is very important. And with my class, they're all at various stages on their Parkinson's journeys, and it's just been a lovely, joyful way of working to have the little children to work with. And this year we do the project with butterflies, which is a very lively and life-affirming image. One of the good things about coming to a group like this is that you're constantly learning things new, learning new techniques, things that you perhaps would never think you could do, and keeping your mind and your limbs going, your fingers going, which is quite difficult for all of us as we get older, not just people with Parkinson's.
Having the nursery on site, you know, it just makes you remember, you know, how life is so uncomplicated. It's a joy, isn't it, to work with them?
It really is. To see the appreciation and enjoyment in their faces, and then to see them today bring all that to fruition with their little performance was just magical.
That was great, yeah.
And hopefully it helps them to
become stars.
To become stars, but also to feel comfortable around older people or people with disabilities.
A time of creativity and passion. Being creative can be important for our well-being, for fun, as well as for contributing to society. Anyone can enjoy that stimulation, from their preschool years to their older age. Different generations can learn from each other. Sometimes in our later years as elders, we've gone back to activities we used to like. We may continue a lifelong passion about a band, a musician, political party, writing, gardening, or an issue such as human rights, the environment, or climate change. What's yours? Bridge, bowls, Bollywood, the Beatles, Bake Off, Beethoven, Bob Dylan? Why would it stop just because we're over 50, over 70, older? Here's Janet Looker, an eminent elder of York who's been Lord Mayor 3 times.
I actually wanted to act. As a child, I was going to be a great actress, and it never happened. And it's relatively recently in life I've decided that actually what my role is, I am a passionate audience. So I read passionately, I go to the theatre passionately, I love the theatre, and Shakespeare is always at the heart of it. And when in 2000 they set up the York Shakespeare Project, which was going to produce every play in 20 years, I became a founding member. And I have never acted, never stepped foot on the stage, but I have seen every performance. And I've now got an ambition. I've now got to live to 104, because if I live to 104, I can see the whole lot all over again.
A time of discovery. Aging is a time of discovery, of new aspects of ourselves, and of reflecting on our old selves, of changing the way we do things. We take a risk and develop ourselves by learning new skills, trying something different. That's a way of finding connections with other people. And often, who is running the dance group or that art class? Who is teaching, passing on their knowledge and developing skills in other older people? Well, a whole heap of other older people giving up their time.
When I've been teaching art for well over 60 years, but this for me is such, as I get older and come to a wonderful retirement community like this, this is something that I need. I need the stimulus of meeting people, talking with very different people from different professions, from different walks of life. That's the thing that makes me get out of bed in the morning.
Grace, strength, and walking on unsteady ground. Aging can also be a time of lost confidence because we can't manage some of what we used to do. Perhaps we feel misunderstood or misjudged. Maybe we've been bereaved, lost a significant partner, close friend or family member. Maybe ill health has hit us. These can all make us feel isolated, so that we don't know where we fit in anymore. How do people find themselves again?
I joined after I'd had a period of illness and I was rebuilding my life. I hadn't done any dance for years and years. I'd done a tiny bit of ballet as a child, and it took a long, long time to develop the coordination, to learn the terms, to learn the steps. But Wednesday afternoons became a little oasis really in my week, where it's a calm time. There's not a lot of kind of pressure, but it's just a lovely way of just stepping off and doing something where you have to really focus and think about what you're doing. My balance is so much better. I do a lot of walking on unsteady ground, and often it'll be a bit muddy and I'll give a little bit of a slip, but I'll be able to recover so much faster. And I'm sure that if I didn't do this, I would, possibly risk, falling, hurting myself. I would say definitely an improvement in balance and an improvement in coordination.
The silver swans, I always think of almost an ugly duckling and blossoming into a beautiful swan. And a lot of the ladies, they come along, they're very shy, their shoulders are hunched, they're kind of in. And then when they start this, using their core, relaxing the shoulders, opening out, to me, it's just like either a swan or a butterfly. So I think there's a big, there is a connection there.
Why did we do what we did? Many of the older people in these films have been involved in the life of York and the area for decades. In 2024, we talked about our experiences, our hopes and dreams. For example, why did some of us choose certain paths, certain jobs or voluntary work? As well as playing a pivotal role in family responsibilities, we had ideas about how to make things happen. We listened and learned from other people, some of them elders. Then each in our own way set out to do something about an issue that mattered to us. Perhaps a bit like that ballet class, everyone needs help to improve our balance, regain strength at some point in life, don't we? So maybe, in our work, that's what we were trying to do. Help others and ourselves.
I'm Alistair Graham, and throughout my working life I've chaired a wide range of public service organisations trying to deal with difficult issues, and I spent 20 years as a trade union leader representing low-paid civil servants.
My name is Dariush. As you may guess, I was born in Iran. I had my primary and secondary education there before I came to England in the end of 1970. After that, I did my training in psychiatric nursing, got married, brought up my children until I retired.
I'm Janet Looker. I lived in York a long time. I brought up a family. I worked in the voluntary sector, I became a lawyer and then a politician, and I have only very, very recently retired from the politician.
My name's Neil Cutler. I'm gay out loud and proud, and I support people and talk about people living with dementia. That's my prime task these days.
I've known you as a community champion for diversity, as an author, as a community activist. What are the things that give you most pride in your achievements?
Being able to communicate, listen to people, hear what their issues are, and then see if I can do something about them, which is where, as you say, the sort of community work comes in. Friends and neighbours. Many of you will know that in Europe, York is twinned with the French city Dijon and the German city of Münster. Since the 1950s, when these groups were established, hundreds, possibly thousands of York citizens have visited those cities on youth exchanges, for holidays and for work experience. People have often hosted visitors in their homes and organised social and cultural trips. Some have been members of those twinning associations for years, as I was. The twinning was, and still is, all part of promoting peace with our European neighbours after the horrors of World War II. This is the 80th year since the end of the Second World War. Many of us still believe that if you make friends with your neighbours and learn to understand each other, war is less likely, that we have to find ways to connect. Then we'll discover things to celebrate together. Don't we all need peace of mind too? The kind of peace which comes with well-being or a sense of belonging. I'm thinking of what those ballet dancers said again about restored balance and equilibrium in our personal lives. Does it filter into our jobs, our communities, and beyond our shores? You know, us boomers grew up in the shadow of war and its pain and sorrows. We still experience the consequences. In our childhood and teens in the 1960s and 70s, we were also worried about nuclear war, so we know what that uncertainty feels like for the younger generations now. Coming over here and... As you've heard, we didn't all grow up in York. So what brought some of us to York in the first place? In some cases, it was triggered by a crisis in another country. Lives were in danger, so people had to leave and start again somewhere else, somewhere safe. Sometimes we've migrated within the UK, ending up here in York, perhaps because of a spouse or partner's new job. Others, like me, came to study at the university and stayed, got jobs, married, and brought up our families here. Whatever the reason we came to York, we all decided on a certain path, not being quite sure where it would lead. Whatever we decided to do, we all needed to feel we could belong. Sometimes in a new place, you don't at first. What does it mean to feel you belong? How do you make people welcome? You're welcome here.
Everybody has a wonderful time. The feedback is always positive and it's just a great place to be. My name is Sarah and I work at a hub in a place called Pocklington, which we run a day service for people to come that have dementia, and we fill the day with all sorts of activities, and we run those over North Yorkshire. We run the Pocklington hub on 3 days of the week. I work 2 of those, and then 2 other days of the week I do another service that Dementia Forward do, working as a dementia support advisor. I think it's important because it brings people together, they form really good friendships. It's kind of like coming to a second family. It's really welcoming, people learn new skills, and people sort of going a little bit outside of their comfort zone and realising that they can still do a lot of things that they maybe thought that they couldn't. The people that come, it means a great deal to them. It's just a great place to be.
I've been working with Dementia Forward now for over a year and a half. We work in the hubs, the activity hubs, so I'm an activity coordinator, and basically that gives me so much fun and enjoyment because you're doing things to keep the clients engaged, active. Some of the games are stimulating, hand-eye coordination, Some of the games are going back maybe into childhood games. And some of these clients I've been working with for over a year and a half, and it's just like one big happy family. You get so much enjoyment and laughter from the groups. They take that home with them. They take these memories back. And if you're keeping them engaged and active and they're enjoying themselves, they want to come back. They come back into this safe environment where they get so much out of it. The families have actually said they look forward to coming. They actually get dressed up and looking forward to come to the activity hubs, which says a great deal.
So, you may have had a purposeful life, bringing up a family, and you're now looking after grand or great-grandchildren. Maybe you worked at Roundtrees, Redfern, the Carriage Works, one of the hospitals, or ran a youth club, sports club, or a choir. Whether we're old, young, ill or well, whether we're refugees from another country, or have moved from one side of Britain to another, or always lived in one place, we all need to feel useful. Our lives need to have meaning, to feel valued. We all need to feel we belong, all our lives. As the poet Raymond Carver wonders in his poem Late Fragment, and did you get what you wanted from this life even so? I did. And what did you want? To call myself beloved, to feel myself beloved on the earth. In my day, experience, memories and wisdom. Of course, our long and varied lives have included happiness and joy, pain and grief, frustration and celebration. Between us, we have an abundance of experience, memories and wisdom.
I remember my mother saying, one time, Joe, she says, in your generation, she says, you'll be able to switch a light and you'll be able to see what's going on all over the world. And we thought she'd gone mad. Look what we've got today.
Whenever you go into town, you'll always bump into somebody that you know.
There was a lot more community, yes, yeah.
We can reflect on times past, things that were different then, important things we have learnt from events and from conversations or decisions we or others made. What do you think worked? What didn't? What's faded away or been lost completely? What's been handed on? What's new to you now? Some of our elders have spent their lives trying to solve problems, trying to find answers, and still do. Is a change going to come? We have clear ideas about what's improved in the past and about what needs to change in society.
I'm passionate about equality of opportunity. I'm passionate about women. I'm never tire of being a feminist. And those deep-rooted passions are still mine. I think they're more difficult to achieve. I don't know that I shall live to see them being achieved. In some ways, I get more depressed politically. I went through politics with huge hopes and always thought there's a way of getting round this, there's a way of doing it, there's a way of sorting it. I have retired partly because I can't quite see where to go, and that's disappointing. But the hopes are still there.
We still have 70 countries in the world where being a member of the LGBT community is illegal, and we have 10 countries in the world where if you're caught in a same-sex relationship, you're likely to get the death penalty.
The impact of technology, it's changed dramatically, just the way we do our day-to-day business. Some of it has not necessarily been for the good, but on the whole, I think technology has dramatically improved our lives.
What's your level of prowess with modern technology?
I get by, but I wouldn't put it any higher than that.
So I think we need collectively as a society to find ways of listening more and find ways of enabling people to come up with solutions that will work for them rather than organisations telling them how it's going to be.
I think we're on the right path. Things are getting a lot better. And I think we've just got to keep working at it. And We don't need to go over the top. I think we need to just keep moving on slowly, sort of softly catchy monkey type of thing.
Well, we need to get a more equal society. We're a very divided society. Some people are very rich and well off, while others are desperately poor, trying to get by. The fact we cannot house all of our people, or we can't even afford to give free school meals, is, I think, a shocking indictment of the lack of progress we've made in some areas. So there are lots of changes I would like to see. We've still a long way to go in getting to grips with climate change. So I'd like to see a greater engagement of ordinary people in that particular issue. And I would desperately like to see some of the issues resolved, say, between Israel and Palestine, some of the famines that we have in the Sudan and other parts of the Middle East. There are enormous issues that I could have dreams that we might someday resolve. And the fact that the United Kingdom managed to resolve the divisions in Northern Ireland to a large extent shows that these issues can be resolved if we put the right amount of effort and have the right amount of will to achieve change.
Talking about my generation, I bet many of you over 50s watching this film can see a bit of yourselves in it. If you went by what the media says about you, you'd think our generation never did anything useful. It's as though our contributions can be erased and forgotten. That's why I wrote this poem, How to Make a Boomer Stew, an old woman's recipe. Choose a few unripe girls, any size or colour, homegrown or imported, either will do. Post-war and steeped in religion improves the flavour. Grow braids, bunches or pigtails. Shred. Next, make a stock. Throw in free education, grants and night classes, libraries, the brand new NHS. Sauté unions and politics. Slice marches, sit-ins, badges, rainbow banners. Check for socialism. Add more or water down. Using tongs, remove all signs of bras and set aside. Marinade unshaved hair, leg, armpit, pubes. Knock back beehives, afros, perms and wedges. Chop finely. Mash up cheesecloth, caftans, loons and minis with one hefty dollop of sisterhood, the pill, regrets and guilt. Leave to stew. During pregnancy, birth or earth mothering, reuse the bras, discard, close lid and simmer for years. Now and then, top up. A dash of yoga, #MeToo, Black Lives Matter, mess of Brexit, oil of Trump. Finally, gather up the last few boomers. Raise a glass, then lift the lid with care. This broth may seem reduced, crusty, sunk, but should it froth, spatter or spit, stand back. It could just be coming to the boil. In this year's Over 50s Festival, we've been connecting with and celebrating older people. We've dedicated our 2025 film to the late Dariush Mazloum. He was a great contributor to many community groups and organisations in York and worldwide. A campaigner for justice, for peace, a friend, neighbour, family member and inspiration to many. I'll leave you with his words as he reflected in 2024 on what he felt needs to change in the world.
To be able to guide others. I mean, I do remember when other student nurses would be allocated to me, I always used to have a chat with them and encourage them to look at the old people as they were and not as they are. And also recognize that they need to treat them with much more respect than in my early days on the wards and so on. So That's I'm very proud to have been able to influence others in that respect.
So how has the world changed since you were young?
Oh, the world has changed quite considerably. You probably admit that yourself. Sometimes for the better, sometimes for worse.
What do you think still needs to change?
What needs to change? The world to become united, to become one, the barriers and the boundaries to be discarded, because these are kind of man-made barriers, and we need to come together to be able to solve our problems, to not to be divided by political differences or any other differences. We need to recognize everyone as a part of the human race, whether man or woman, whether young or old, or whether from different cultures. We are all one human race, and the sooner we realize that, the better we can treat each other and solve our problems. One of the issues that we face in the world is that we are not united in dealing with the international situations, like we have had the experience of the COVID. Every country for themselves rather than getting together and solving the issues. And there are many other issues in the world that I'm hoping that we be able to make differences in by becoming together and united in our effort as a human society, as human beings.